We have numerous examples in the Torah of the Shivim Ponim La Torah. That the Torah comes with many different facets, depending on the perspective that we want to look at it. And all of these perspectives are essentially correct, even though many of them contradict each other. But in the essence of Torah, in the overview of the Torah, they are all of validity and they are all instructive. So in this week's Parsha, we come to a discussion of Nigei Botim, that are plagues in the house. And a type of tzoras, whatever that is, that infects the house. And by infecting the house, the owner of the house, the Kohen, will have to come to the house and declare it to be a bayit nagua, that there's a nagoyim in the house, it's tomei. And but before the Kohen does it, we empty the house, because it doesn't become tomei till the Kohen says it's tomei. And then the house, if it's not cured, then it's dismantled brick by brick, and it will not be built again. So the Gemara says on this, one of the facets is lahoya v'lo nivra. There never was such a case. But as the Gemara has, in the Mishnah, in the Goyim rather, and the Tosefta there, has such detailed requirements as to where the nega is found. It has to be found in the exact corner between two walls. It has to spread evenly. And there are all sorts of requirements, technical requirements, that make it lahoya v'lo nivra. Can't be, never was such a case. So then why did the Torah write it? Drosh v'kabel schar. And if a person learns about it and he thinks about it, he receives a reward for the study of it, even if it not be translated into practical human behavior. There is another facet here that the Meforshim bring, Rashi brings it, and it's the Medrash repeats it many times, that it's a punishment on the owner. And that the tzaras, so to speak, advances in stages. First it hits his money, his property, his house, which is not, it's where he lives, but it's not him. So if the person realizes that the nega came for a sin, let us say a lashon hara or other types of speech slander, and he does tshuva, so then that's the end of the story. But if he does not, doesn't change his ways, he doesn't become any better, so then the nega proceeds to be a negoyim on clothing, on the garments that the person wears. So that's already much more personal. That affects him directly. Again, if the person realizes it and desists from doing what was wrong, so then good. But if the person does not, either he doesn't realize or he doesn't care, so then the nega will proceed that it will affect his person, his body. And that's the din of the metzora. That's the major subject of last week's parsha and this week's parsha, that he is afflicted with tzoras. So therefore, this medrash sees it as a progressive matter. First, the nega comes to the house, which is his property, his money. Let's say he loses all of his money. How come I made such a bad investment? So we say, because I had the wrong stockbroker, or I listened to my brother-in-law, or whatever. But the Torah doesn't say that. The Torah says, "Yifashresh b'ma'asov." Review what you did. So the first step is his wealth, his money, his house. If that doesn't happen to him, then it's personal status in the community, his clothing, how people look at it. And if that doesn't help, so then he becomes a metzora. And he's outside the community, and he has to bring the korban and the birds and everything that's recorded here. So we have here two different ideas completely. We have here an idea that it's lo hoya v'lo nivra. It never happened. So if it never happened, it means that the whole process never was initiated. Because the Medrash says it goes in these three stages. So then all of this is just, it's two big parshias that don't have anything to do with us. That have no practicality. And it's lo hoya v'lo nivra. Nevertheless, drosh v'kabel schar. And then we have the other opinion that it was nivra, and that this is a progressive thing, etc. And the third opinion, Rashi quotes that one also. Psura tova nisbasra lahem. This is good news. A negat saras in the house is good news. Because it says, Vayoki savo el haaretz. You're going to come into Eretz Yisrael. And when you come into Eretz Yisrael, v'nosati, I'm going to give you a matona. That's the word v'nosati. I'm going to give you a gift. What is the gift? A negat saras in your house. I don't know if anybody will appreciate that gift. Why will they see that as a gift? So Rashi points out, according to the Medrash, because the Canaanim, the original people who lived in the house, they buried treasure in the walls of the house or in the foundations of the house. And now when the nega comes and the house is torn down, it's dismantled. Ooh, look at that, right? I found the vault. I found the safe. I became a wealthy man because I found, in the English common law, it was called treasure trove. Found things that you didn't, there are halachas in that too, right? If I buy, what if I buy a dresser or a desk? And when I go home and I open the desk, I find that, there's an expensive watch that's in the desk. Do I have to give it back? What's the halacha? So it seems that b'dinei odom you don't have to, but b'dinei shamayim you do. The Gemara says on the great Tana that he bought once from an Arab a donkey, and in the saddlebag of the donkey he found money, gold. And he returned it to the Arab that he bought it from. And the Arab said, Brich Rachmona, blessed be the God of this Tana, because that's why he returned it. He returned it because B'dinei Shemayim he had to return it. But B'dinei Olam he didn't have to return it. So anyway, so then the nega is a positive thing. God is giving you a gift. He's giving you a favor. So there are here three completely different views of Nigebatim. One view is that it never happened. The second view is that it happens and it's progressive. The third view is not only it happened, but it's a gift. I'm going to give you a gift that you'll become wealthy from. You'll find the treasure of the Canaanim. So there's a further point here that the Gemara makes. The Gemara says, and the Mandi Omar that says, Lo hoya v'lo nivra. So he says it about three cases. The case of metzora or more, he says it could never happen because it says, Einedu shomeya b'kolenu. So the father and the mother have to have the exact same voice, and that's impossible. We now have the technology of voice recognition. You don't have to say your name. They know who you are. Of course, if you have a Chicago accent, it makes it easier for them. But they recognize your voice. So it's lo hayav lo nivra, because the father and mother don't have the same voice. And then it says nige botim, because of the point that I made, that the technicalities are such they could not be fulfilled. The neg has to spread evenly, exactly, it can't be. And then the third case is Iranidachas, a Jewish city that worships Avodah Zarah. So it says in the Torah, it's called Shlola Rachova here. You take all the property into the square in the town square, and you burn it all. So the Gemara says there's no Jewish town that doesn't have at least one mezuzah in it. So you're not allowed to do it. So you can't fulfill the case of Ir Anidachas, so therefore it's also Lo hayav lo nivra. On each of these three cases, there is an opposing opinion in the Gemara, where the man says, not only did it happen, I saw it happen. I saw the wreckage of the house, the ruins. I saw the grave of the metzora or more. I saw the tel that covered the Ir Anidachas. So the Chassam Sofer asks the obvious question: what's going on here? They're arguing what in a fact, in a metzias. One man says it didn't happen, the other one says it did happen. So he says here quite a deep thought. He says the Torah is teaching us here that if a person says that my children can never go wrong, you can never be a metzora or more, it's lo hayav lo nivra, that's when the danger is greatest. Then ani yashavti al kivro. If you say in my house there can never be a nega, because it's such a wonderful house that I'm living in, and I'm doing so wonderful, and I'm raising everybody perfect, I never have to worry. So that's when the nega happens. And if a community says, Lo hayav lo nivra, our community needs no improvement, it's perfect, we have no problem, so then that's when it happens. So he says both Tanoim agree. They say if you say Lo hayav lo nivra, then drosh v'kabel schar, that it shouldn't happen. Because if you ignore it, then the likelihood of its happening is then greater than you can imagine. The difficulty will certainly arise. So here we have how the Meforshim and how the Talmud expanded on this din, on this halacha of nigei botim that we thought had no relevance to us, and we see it's very relevant to us. Sometimes bad things happen to a person, and it's the best thing in the world that ever happened to him. He knocks the house down, he finds a treasure. He lost his job, he went somewhere else, and he became successful. He missed the train, and the train, he was saved. So think about it in those terms. And therefore, there is also the progression. that sins are a slippery slope. And if we start to slide at the beginning, the slope becomes steeper, and we're likely to slide at the end as well. So these are ideas that are involved in this week's parsha, in this subject matter of Nigei Botim, which the Torah raises with us. Rabbi Chananya ben Akash Omer Ratzah Kadosh Baruch Hu L'Zakos Es Yisrael Leficha Chir B'Lahem Torah Mitzvot Shenemar Adonai Chafetz L'Ma'atzah